I would like to thank you for your participation. The first question, could you please tell me what is the biggest difficulty for developing countries such as Vietnam in the fight with climate change?
There are a large number of challenges. Poverty itself is a major challenge because if you want to establish adaptation measures, then often it requires resources, it certainly requires knowledge, it requires infrastructure. So therefore, you certainly need a certain level of income and wealth to be able to take care of adaptation. So I think poverty is an important issue which has to be tackled. May I also say that knowledge is important because if you have to set up adaptation measures, often you have to do that with a fair amount of long-term planning, particularly, let's say, if you're going to create infrastructure to adapt to the impacts of climate change. So what we need is some degree of assurance on the quality of projections that are being made about the future. You need to understand what the impacts are going to be, and that requires a fair amount of scientific effort to be able to determine what the impacts.
Vietnam is among countries most affected by climate change. Under these conditions, adaptation to climate change in Vietnam must be connected to sustainable development and an economy with low carbon. In your opinion, what should Vietnam do to get this target?
There are a huge number of co-benefits. And these co-benefits are that, let's say, if you were to have an approach which mitigates the emissions of greenhouse gases, you have local benefits through a cleaner environment, therefore better health. You have a higher level of energy security. The impacts on agriculture overall would be much less. So I think if you have a pattern of development that meets the needs of all the people, then clearly that has a major benefit for society as a whole. Hence, as you said, if climate change is also going to tackle the objective of sustainable development, and our action to deal with climate change tackles that objective, then I think it is to the advantage of the society involved.
Vietnam haven't had any legal framework to address climate change. How do you assess the importance of build a legal framework to respond to climate change?
Well, there are various ways by which you take action. You could do it through legal means, you could do it through regulation, you could also do it through voluntary action and community involvement. So I don't think you need to prescribe one set of actions versus the other. Several countries are taking action without a necessary legal framework. And there again, I come back to what I said earlier. What's critically important is to inform the public and to give them knowledge about climate change. I think if
The concept of climate change has become popular, and more and more people acknowledge the negative impact of climate change on every aspect of life. However, there's a fact that sometimes climate change is blamed for weakness in management and policy failure. What do you think about this? And do you think that we should have an equal justice to climate change?
what is very important is to spread the knowledge on climate change to the people so that they are able to see what is the result of climate change and what is the result of other factors. Often, people take positions because of ignorance. So I think if we are able to educate the public about the scientific realities of climate change, then perhaps we would see the link between those things that are affected by climate change and those that are independent of climate change. Therefore, I would say that the answer is
Thank you so much.